Hey there, parents and caregivers. Welcome to UnMuted Love. This is that podcast where we get real about the joys and challenges of raising kids who've been through hard things. As you know, I'm your host, Eshelman, and today we're talking about something that, well, next to Mother's and Father's Day, might feel a little tender. Oh, you guessed it. It's Valentine's Day. I love these Hallmark holidays. Actually, I really do like this one because I'm a heart kind of person. And so even though it's kind of sort of made up and Hallmarky, I think it celebrates the one thing I can get behind no matter what. So now I know that, I have a feeling that I know what you might be thinking. Oh, great. Another reminder that I should be feeling all warm and fuzzy when honestly, your heart feels more like, it's about as open as a deep freezer in the dead of winter. If that's you, first of all, deep breath, big love, no shame. You're not alone. In fact, today we're diving into that very feeling when your heart feels a little frozen in blocked care. Now, I've spoken about blocked care before, and this is just a little bit different. So hang in there and maybe you'll get a tidbit or two because I'm going to talk about how to melt that frozen heart. So Valentine's Day can feel really hard when you're stuck, right, in blocked care. It's supposed to be all about love, connection, and those heartwarming moments that make us feel, close to the people in our lives. But when you're stuck in the thick of parenting a child with trauma, and especially when you've been stuck in blocked care for a long time, those feelings can feel pretty out of reach, right? And other people can seem really out of touch with your life when you try and talk about it. If you're new to the term, which most adoptive parents are not new to this term, but that feeling is called block care. And it's what happens when your nervous system, your very survival instincts start protecting you from the emotional overwhelm of parenting a child with complex needs. It's that numbness, that exhaustion and resentment that creeps in when, the love you so freely gave isn't being returned in the ways you expected or being returned at all sometimes. You stop feeling joy. You stop feeling connected. And in some ways, you stop feeling much at all, right? Numb, blank, flat, depressed. Here comes along Valentine's Day with all its hearts and candy and messages about love and warmth. And if you're feeling frozen inside, this holiday can feel like a cruel joke. Okay, deep breath again. There are ways to start thawing out. So I'm going to take you on a couple of steps, right? Step one, acknowledge where you are without shame. There's no shame in having blocked care. As a matter of fact, I don't know very many parents, whether you're an adopted parent or not, who doesn't get blocked sometimes. It's just harder when you have an adopted child who doesn't return your love often, or when they do, it feels like it's fake. First, let's take the shame out of the equation. If your heart feels frozen, it's not because you're a bad parent. It's because you're a human being. You're a human parent with a very real nervous system that's been working overtime to survive. So instead of beating yourself up for feeling distant or numb, try to get curious, right? Curiosity is one of my favorite words. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What does my body feel like? Where in my body am I having those feelings? Am I feeling exhausted? Do I feel tense? All you have to do is notice. Just notice without judgment. That's the first step toward warming up again. Okay, I'm going to move you along to step two. So start small with tiny moments of connection. So glimmers, we call them sometimes, right? Tiny glimmers of connection. Reaching out and re-engaging with your child doesn't have to be some grand Valentine's Day gesture. In fact, smaller is better. Your heart needs gentle warmth, not a bonfire of forced emotion. And your child doesn't need that either. That would be overwhelming to them if you have been blocked for a while. They won't even understand where you're coming from. Might be like you're having a psychotic break all of a sudden if you just suddenly got super Valentine's-y when you've been super shut down. So start tiny. Can you sit next to your child while they play a game or watch a show? Can you hand them a snack with a small smile? Can you write them a little note that simply says, I'm glad you're here? No pressure for a big emotional moment. Just a quiet, no strings offer of presence. Your presence. And here's something super powerful. When you offer even small glimmers of positive connection, your child's brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Oxytocin plays a crucial role in emotional regulation, trust, and social bonding. Even if the connection feels one-sided at first, repeat small acts of warmth, right? Just repeat it because small acts of kindness, small acts of love, small acts of warmth can rewire the brain, building safety and attachment over time. Safety is the first goal of therapeutic parenting. Actually, it's the first goal of any kind of parenting, right? You want to be a safe haven for your child, but it doesn't feel safe if you're frozen. So let's build in little bite-sized examples of love, little connections, one at a time. If you did one today and you did two tomorrow, whoa, you'd be doing great. So don't worry, there's plenty of time. You can lead up to maybe, making some, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe some shortbread cookies, right? Made out of hearts. That's okay. You don't have to do that. Okay, here we go. Step number 3, find ways to warm your own heart first. Well, of course, you can't warm up to a child if your heart is frozen. So you can't pour love from an empty cup. You've heard that 100 times, I'm sure, and you definitely can't thaw out if you're still standing in the deep freeze. So what warms you up? Is it stepping outside for some fresh air? Is it listening to your favorite music? I have to tell you, I like really, really, really warm up when I listen to the big chill music. Now it tells you how old I am, but the big chill music never gets old. I can turn that on in my household, and even my husband sort of looks a little snappy, right? My kids love it. The housework gets done faster. Any kind of chore gets done faster. And even just being together, right? Dancing is a lot of fun. You could not go wrong with the big chill music. So sipping something warm and comforting, perhaps, calling a friend who sees you and gets you. Try not to spend a lot of time with friends who don't get you, that can't see you, who don't understand your relationship with your children, because that will be really hard to get through. Even if you do have friends that get you because they are living the same kind of life, sometimes they're having a heavy life too, and that doesn't refresh you. So find folks who get you, see you, and who can uplift you, right? That's what it's about. So whatever it is, give yourself permission to do it, even if it's just for 5 minutes, because reconnecting with yourself is one of the fastest ways to start reconnecting with your child. I've been out of the gym for about 9 months because I was off and on sick with an ear infection. I kept losing my hearing. And so I didn't do anything. I used to walk every day. I just stopped walking. I used to work out, stopped working out, and I gained about 20 pounds. I'm wearing that 20 pounds right now. I decided, okay, I'm going back to the gym. And so I went back to I literally drive to the gym for 20 minutes and I'm in the gym for 15 minutes because that's all I can do here at the beginning. And then I drive home for 20 minutes. So it's kind of ridiculous, but I know I'm working up to an actual workout, but I'm just giving myself 15 minutes. And while it kind of sounds ridiculous to say it out loud, it is what I'm doing. And I know it will get me to where I want to go. It will warm my body back up so that I can feel healthy again. Neuroscience backs all this up, by the way. Engaging in small moments of self-care and mindfulness activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps reduce that big old ball of cortisol that's in your prefrontal cortex, right? That's the stress hormone that contributes to blocked care. The more we regulate our own nervous system, the better we can co-regulate with our children. I'm going to just list off a few neuro hacks for regulating the nervous system. I actually use some that are not on this list, but since you can't see me, it would be super hard for me to actually write it out, talk it out, explain it out in a way that would make sense to you if you weren't looking at me. So I'm just going to give you the ones I have here because, well, they'll help too. So one is deep breathing. You have probably heard of box breathing. It's inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and exhale for 4 seconds. Then hold for 4 seconds, right? It's boxed breathing. My favorite one is this. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds, and then blow it out for 8 seconds. I think that is actually a more regulating breath, but the box breathing works too. It just doesn't work quite as deeply. When you do either one of these deep breathing exercises, it activates the vagus nerve, signaling safety to your brain. And that's what your nervous system needs when you have block care. You need some safety. Number 2 would be movement. Even gentle stretching, a short walk, or dancing to music can release endorphins and regulate stress responses. Now, I know you know that, but are you doing it? 5-minute walk to the stop sign and back is good enough. Every day I do something that looks like I'm swimming while standing up. I rotate my arms kind of like a windmill, forward, 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 rotating, rotating, rotating. It's ridiculous. And then backwards. And that is just such a movement that relaxes all of my stress in my back. So I encourage you to try out some things. So number 3 is cold exposure. Splashing cold water on your face or holding something cold for a few seconds can jolt your nervous system out of a stress loop. Now, I'm the kind of person that does infrared heat exposure. And I go into the infrared box, get myself really cooked for a while, and then I jump into a cold ice bath. And then I get out and go back in the infrared sauna, and then I jump back in the ice cold water. Now, you might say, see, you've lost your mind. But really, it's invigorating. It's also healing to my nervous system. And it really helps with my immune system, which is often low end in my body because of all the stress I've suffered across my years living with children from difficult beginnings, but also as a therapist working with parents and children of difficult beginnings. There's a lot of stress in me, and I've worked very hard to learn all of these things to release it. It has taken an effect over time, and I'm just honest about that. But also, there are some ways of helping before you get to a place where you're 67 years old like me, and suddenly your body really hurts a lot from old stored stress. Okay, number 4 is grounding techniques. So notice 5 things you see, 4 things you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste to bring yourself back to the present. That is an age-old grounding technique, and it really works. It's a noticing, it's touching, hearing, smelling, tasting. Brings you right back into the now. It's one of my favorite grounding techniques. The next one is humming or singing. The vibrations stimulate the vagus nerve and promote relaxation. So I'm very fond of Peter Levine, who does vooing, right? V-O-O-ing. It sounds like this. See how long I can do that? That's amazing to me. I can't even breathe out that way, but when I voo, I can do it. And that activates that vagus nerve, and that helps bring it into toning, right? Toning the vagus nerve is what we're looking for. Toning means having your vagus nerve be more flexible. I also really love listening to binaural beats. And you can look on YouTube and get some binaural beats that are really, really relaxing. I really encourage you to listen to 2 or 3 minutes of binaural beats in the morning when you wake up and before you go to bed. You'll have a great night's sleep if you do that. Also, you'll start your day regulated. And then lastly, slow rhythmic touch. Rocking in a chair, petting your dog or your cat, or even gentle massage can signal safety to your body. And you can do that by hugging yourself like in a butterfly hug and then swiping your hands down your shoulders as though you can wipe off stress, because you know what? You can. You can. That's actually a technique called havening. There are more pieces to it, but that's the first one, is moving your hands down your arms from the top to the bottom and wiping off stress. Okay, so I hope that helps you sort of get in the groove for neurohacks. It's one of the best things you can do for your nervous system. We're on to step 4. So I'm wanting to encourage you to let love look different. Valentine's Day comes with a lot of cultural expectations about what love should look like. You know, it's all those hugs and kisses and heart-to-hearts and romance and all that. But love in a trauma healing home, it might look different. And that's okay. It's okay, because you need to meet your children and your life where it's at, not where you wish it were. Love might look like consistency, showing up every day, even when it's hard. Love might look like patience, giving your child space when they need it. Love might look like quiet, like sitting beside them without words, just being together. From a neurobiological perspective, repeated, predictable acts of care help rebuild neural pathways associated with trust and safety. The brain has an amazing ability to heal through neuroplasticity, meaning that even if trauma has disrupted the connection and the love, given consistency over and over and over, you can rebuild the connection over time. Your love is still love, even if it doesn't look like a Hallmark card. Actually, I've never really had any love that actually truly 100% looked like a Hallmark card, except for some of those funny ones. Okay, all, I want to give you some final thoughts about love. So I'm sappy about love. You know, I think love matters. I don't think love conquers all, but I think without love, nothing gets conquered. So I really feel like love is a magic potion. It completes all puzzles. It connects all distance. It repairs all wounds over time. So if your heart feels frozen this Valentine's Day, know this: it doesn't have to stay that way. Tiny steps, tiny moments, and tiny sparks of warmth, we'll call those all glimmers. They all add up. And even when you don't feel it, you don't feel your love, the deep, steady, enduring kind, is still there. It's still reaching, still trying, still holding on. That is love worth celebrating. Thank you so much for being here today with me. I hope this episode spoke to your heart. And if yours is feeling cold, I hope it's a little warmer. And remember, no matter how frozen you feel today, love is always possible. I'll see you next time on UnMuted Love.